Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at my house today behind my beautiful satanic altar that I painted. But we got an awesome guest. We are here with Jessica Pimentel of Orange is the New Black and Alekhine's Gun. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I can only imagine it's been a very, very busy couple months or even years.
Yeah, we are back in jail, starting season 7 now.
Wow.
And we've been doing this for 7 years, so it's been, season 7 years. So maybe even a little more than that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. But it's been really, intense.
At this point, though, does it feel kind of like you're going through the motions since you're in season 7, or?
No, it's not, because every year we have no idea what's going to happen next. So every week is a new surprise, whether you're working a lot or not at all that week, or you're going to have to die, or you have to, I don't know what you're going to be doing. So you have to kind of fit that into your normal life, and then fit that into the musical life is quite a juggling act.
Yeah. Well, the real topic I wanted to talk about is I love musicians who have another creative outlet, like Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park being a great visual artist, and there's plenty of musicians who are also actors and actresses as well. I always thought that Alekhine's Gun, the first time I saw you was at Ride for Dime last year.
Wow.
And I've been missing out. And then I saw you at the Cattle Decapitation Revocation show.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah. It seems that Alekhine's Gun is a very theatrical show, and I'd imagine, is there a similar creative energy that you put into both, or is it a completely separate entity?
That's a great question. I think there is some sort of transformation that goes into both, because neither one of them is me. So there are parts of you in there, but in order to do the perfect job, you have to kind of remove the conventional I of who I think I am in order to either get the words across, the music across, or the character across.
Okay. Is there anything that comes first? Words first, character first?
As far as
in music or acting, whatever.
I mean, it depends. Every experience, every show, every script is different. So, for example, characters, sometimes you just get a walk first. You're like, she walks like this, or she talks like that, or you hear the words over and over, and that determines how the person moves and speaks. Or with music, with the lyrics, sometimes you might write some kind of poetry, or I have a notebook with thousands of just scribbles of sentences that I don't know where they go. And then one day you'll hear a song and it goes right there. But sometimes you'll write that song and the words just won't come. They just won't come, and then one day in the middle of the night it writes itself in one sitting, So yeah. I think if you're an artist, you should never get caught up in a specific process or ritual type thing.
Well, it's funny. I always thought that if there was a big difference is, obviously I've never been in a TV show or film before, so shut me up if I'm talking out of my ass. But
absolutely.
You have to follow a script, and there's production, and there's
Right.
protocol, and
Right.
I'd imagine, and music to me, whether it's in the studio or you're playing on stage, it seems to me that music is always much more organic, and being behind the camera, portraying a different character, maybe with what you do with Orange is the New Black, is it maybe any less organic because you're following the script?
Yeah, well, I think it's like music is more like a play. When you're performing on stage, it's like doing a play, and a TV show is like when you're in the studio recording an album. So when the camera's on, when the recording is on, you have to do it to the fullest, as much as you can, but you may have to stop. And you may have to do it again, and you may have to punch it, and you may have to rewind, you may have to delete it, you may have to go outside and cry a little bit. It may really suck, you may just throw the whole thing out. So there's times when it's on and when it's off, and then just one has a more natural flow, and one has a stop-start flow. But at the end of the day, there are those moments that are just about the art.
Awesome. So in the end, it's fair to say, in the end, it's just art, and it's still a performance. So it's fair to say that while there are some differences here, in the end, it's your own methodology and your own creative outlet that you're bringing to both Orange is the New Black and Alekhine's Gun.
Absolutely. Each actor, each musician, each person is different. So you can have 10 people play the same guitar solo. You can have 10 people sing in the same band. I mean, one thing I really love is when you hear a piece of music with 5 different singers, or you write one piece of music and give it to 5 different vocalists and see what they come up with, whether that's lyrically, sonically, whatever, and you see just how much each person brings to to the table, so to speak. So.
Which is awesome. And did one ever help the other, like with doing? Because I know that Alekhine's Gun has been around for a while now. Did maybe like acting ever enhance what you have done with Alekhine's Gun in a way, or maybe playing with music ever helped you bring in something, or is it always separate?
I think all that stuff's been with me for a very long time, for most of my life. I think it all comes from meditation. I use music, dance, and acting as a form of meditation. I also use it as a form of spiritual practice. It's not just for me for fun. I do it in hopes that I'm either, purifying some kind of karma that I may have, or helping some other being out there that's suffering to know that they're not alone, or to open the eyes of other people and see that there's some kind of suffering that maybe they are not accustomed to or don't know about. And also, at the very minimal, is to just bring a moment of happiness in the world. To have someone just leave their prison-like mind for a minute and go someplace else. So at the very least, that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. That's a really good way of putting it. And as a lot of people know, and I sadly had to miss this show when you were with them, but you played with Brujeria recently. And Brujeria is also very theatric, and I mean, I saw.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Really? Were they not supposed to know that?
I don't know. There's these rumors that I'm in Brujeria.
Really?
And the Bruja Encabronada has been spotted many places around the world so far.
Did I give away your identity?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but there is, it seems a very, very striking resemblance to myself.
Then I should move on to the next question before I give it away.
No, it's fine. We're absolutely okay to talk about it.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
No, it's totally fine.
I was just like, shit. And those are the guys you don't want to fuck with either, so.
No, it's totally fine. I think at this point, there are some people that still have their anonymity,
I don't
that
know.
are still anonymous.
Yeah.
And some of us are not.
Yeah.
So,
Everybody has like 10 ideas on who the guys in Ghost are, so.
exactly. So there's that.
Yeah.
So we still have a little bit of that left, but not as much when you're in the papers.
Well, I figured because I knew that Dino Cazares was in Brujeria for a little bit,
Right.
so I was like, oh, if he could give away his identity.
We haven't seen Dino in a while. Don't know where he is.
I don't know. I haven't seen him since NAMM.
Okay.
But and you also collaborated on, and correct me if I'm wrong on the name, Blackheart Sutra? Is that what I said?
Very good.
Yes, I got it right.
Very good.
So.
Two of my favorites out there.
Yep. Do you have like a different, and now I'm just kind of focusing on music, is that at all, like, when you were collaborating with Brujeria or Blackheart Sutra, were you kind of taking what you were learning with Alekhine's Gun and kind of bringing that into it, or?
No, they're totally, completely different projects. Brujeria I've been listening to since I was a kid. So for me, that was like a dream moment. You've been tapped to join your dream band, like a dream come true, like a time machine that you wish you had, so that you can go talk to your 13-year-old self, and say, hey, 13-year-old you, guess what? It was one of those moments, and absolutely like had to do moment. And so I know their style. I come from New York hardcore, I come from New York. We have that rough and tough style, so it's a great fit. And part of why they chose me was knowing that I am theatrical on stage. They know that I can handle weapons on stage.
How did you get into the venue with that?
I no comment.
I mean, I've been to Irving Plaza many times to do interviews, and I practically get a cavity search when I go in there.
Yes. We have our ways.
Oh, God.
We have our ways.
Oh, God. Don't spare me the detail.
I have to, or I'll have to kill you. Yeah, but basically, Brujeria, I know that style well. I grew up with that style. It was something just super exciting. Still is. I'm still going to be joining them for a show or two. As my shooting schedule allows, then I can go meet up with them here and there and whatnot. Can't say. Yeah. Sorry, can't say.
Every interview I've done, it's always, I always say, just because I'm asked, anything you'd like to promote, and be like, well, we got this, but I can't say with who. And I'm just like, well, as soon as I stop.
Not yet. Well, because it's a surprise, so I can't say it yet. Because then it will be crazy if I say it now. So when we get closer to the day. Yeah. Also, I don't know if I can go because I might be in jail. So then there's a whole thing, because I don't even want to talk about if I can't go. I'll be
You should get Brujeria in jail.
We're trying.
That would be
We're
awesome.
we're trying, believe me.
Yeah.
It's not that easy, but
Yeah.
you know.
But also you collaborated with Black Sutro.
Correct.
That's like a, correct me if I'm wrong, that's more of kind of like a compilation record, right? Featuring many different musicians.
Yes, yes. It's kind of just a collective where Kenny Grahowski and Roman Manian are the core, and they're the core songwriters. And Earl wrote the lyrics, or did I write the lyrics? Earl wrote the lyrics to one, I wrote the lyrics to the other. And that is, let's talk about outside my wheelhouse. That is not at all anything that I'm used to working on, anything that I'm like, oh, I'm bored, let me throw this on. You know, like, what should we listen to at dinner, honey? Let's put Black Sutra. Not really just erratic, crazy, polyrhythmic, dissonant, aggressive, relentless style that they have. It's just, I like things nice and neat and clean, and you know.
Yeah.
And this is not that, but it's something that was so powerful that I couldn't say no. But it took me like 3 months to write those lyrics, because I would just sit there. I'm like, where does lyrics go?
Yeah.
Where do lyrics go in this? Where could they possibly go? Because there's no breath here. And then when it came, it just came that day. And I did all the vocals myself. I did all the layered vocals myself. I backed myself up. No pitch shifting. No, it was clean.
Wow.
Screaming, yeah.
Was it like a very, it's fair to say that Black Sutro was very raw and atmospheric at the same time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And being that this was something that you've never done before, it was obviously a challenge, but I'd imagine that you've learned a lot trying to accommodate your vocals into that, right?
Oh yeah, it's just like you just have to stick to your own, you know, once you've decided what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, just stick to it. But also you have to be open for change. One of the songs, Zertse Tung, we came up with this one kind of choral, like, harmonic thing on the spot. Cause I'm like, Earl, I keep hearing like monks chanting. He's like Buddhist monks. I'm like, no, like Gregorian monks. So we just tried it, and I think it worked.
Mm-hmm.
So we just tried it on the spot. Like, that's not something that he was thinking when he wrote those lyrics, but he was open to try it, and that's it.
Wow.
And even just the end of transitioning, all that screaming with the voice that's really not one that I use very often. I never really go that low or that high. I sing somewhere more in the middle. At the end of it, I felt so good because I almost canceled that session because I was really, really sick, like not going to be able to do it. And I said, we only have this one time, I have to do it. At the very end of it, I say, I am awesome. And it's not because of me just getting through it. It felt like exactly what's happening in the song, and that song is about the process of death and dying.
Wow. That's a really good way of putting it, because singing about death and dying while you feel like you're sick.
Yes, and I got through it, and it's like the same thing. The character in the song gets through it and is going through all this tumultuous feelings about leaving their body and this actual pain. There is proven to be a physical pain of leaving your body, you know, and then the wanting to get back into it and the confusion of what's happening to you and the fear of letting go. And then finally the character does let go when the character encounters the Lord of Death, who's laughing, thinking that you really exist. You don't exist in an eye per se. And when the character finally lets go, she realizes that they are much more than this shell that they were so stuck clinging to. And now they realize, I am awesome.
That's wow. I went to art school and I didn't even hear shit like that. Kids in art school, this is how you talk about your work.
Yeah.
But no, because it's funny, because everything you've told me now clearly has meaning and concepts behind it. But can your art, whether it's mainly referring back to music, like, can it also be open to interpretation?
Art is open to interpretation. The world is open to interpretation because there is no set truth in anything. There's no ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is that there is no ultimate truth. The observer will put whatever goggles they have on that go through their brain and see and hear and touch and feel, experience your art through their concepts and their constructs. And that's how it is.
Wow. Well, it's funny because I was just doing an interview at Gramercy Theater with Thousand Below, and we had like this discussion with the vocalist. If somebody took, because he says that there is a message behind his lyrics, but if somebody were to interpret it differently, let's say you have a political message, but
Right.
it helps the listener with a bad relationship.
Yeah.
Does part of you feel like you didn't reach your goal because you didn't pass that message? It's like, no, and I thought it was the most hilarious but truest analogy. It's like eating a sandwich. Some people take the first bite right away. Some people take some things off the sandwich, put other things on. Some people cut it in half. And and in the end, if you, I guess, try to invoke your message so much and get people to interpret it that way, you're just going to drive yourself crazy as an artist.
Yeah, everyone applies, especially music, to things that they relate to. So if you're writing about a failed relationship and you've been in a relationship similar to that, you're going to see that right away. But you may not. You may think that I'm talking about this relationship, but I could be talking a romantic relationship, but I could be talking about my mother, or I could be talking about my dog. I could be talking about whatever I'm choosing to keep secret and vague, and you're putting your own labels to it, your own story to it. You may actually just hear it for what it is and hear it as a story. So I think that you can't drive yourself crazy trying to get people to see things exactly the way you want, unless you're one of those lyricists that you find more in hip hop that is more direct, or someone like, you know,
Rage Against the Machine, I
like
think
Greg,
is,
or from Bad Religion or Jello, you know, people that really like spell it out for you.
yeah. Well, Bad Religion, that guy's like a history.
Greg,
Greg.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
Professor.
He's a professor. He has like a textbook, I
He's
think.
amazing, yeah.
Doesn't he?
He's wonderful.
Yeah, and I've always noticed that with political bands like Bad Religion or Rage Against the Machine or even OTEP, like that is more of kind of like a very political driven band. I mean, it doesn't exactly take much analyzing.
So is
of it.
Meridia.
Yeah.
Extremely political.
That was the most political show I've ever seen in my
Yeah.
life. Like, it felt almost kind of like just as much. I mean, it was obviously a concert, but it was felt like a rally too. It felt like
It is.
yeah. They brought out the stuffed Donald Trump, and
Yeah.
I've never seen so much of what was in the audience on stage. Like people were throwing bottles and
Yeah,
cans.
it's pretty insane. It's really even more nuts when you do it in Mexico.
Really.
Yeah.
Please tell me anything you can about that, because
It's a whole nother. I mean, a lot of the lyrics are really more geared towards the Mexican people, or people that are the pochos. They're Mexicans born in the U.S. or they crossed over young, or someone like me, a first generation American whose parents were not born in this country. So you don't really feel like you're from there, but you don't really feel like you're from here either. And then a lot of the policies, the foreign policies that this government has enacted have really affected a lot of people, especially recently. I'm finding that in my own personal life, that flying back and forth has become much more difficult.
Yeah, and does it? Because I always feel so weird asking this, but I do feel like it is an appropriate question. I asked this to Shauna from War on Women, and during political unrest, is it, obviously in our personal lives it sucks, but does that make it easier for artistic inspiration? Like, I mean, people were jokingly saying when Trump got elected.
So many good albums are gonna come out.
Yeah. Like,
it depends on what kind of artist you are. I'm personally not one that's concerned with affairs of the world as much when I'm doing my art. For me, it's more personal, spiritual things that I focus on when I write music. I'm not gonna. It will be very hard or rare to come across a song about me talking about the government in something that I write.
yeah.
For me, it's I think a lot of people think change is like this big picture. I think if each individual changes and becomes more compassionate, more empathetic, and more sympathetic, and just more open-minded, then the world will change. I feel the small to large as opposed to umbrella to.
So it's fair to say you use art to kind of escape reality more so than face it, or?
Not at all. By doing that, I'm dealing with reality directly. This is all like illusions, you know. Because two people are going through the same exact moment. One is experiencing a positive feeling. One is experiencing a negative feeling. Which one is right? They're both right. So is this thing that's happening inherently good or bad? I don't know.
That's a really beautiful way of putting it, because to me, like, your music has always been very direct and in your face. You mentioned you come from the hardcore scene, and that's upfront, in your face, no explanations needed. You're able to take something that definitely gives an element. you have something that has people thinking, but it's also direct. So you have music that could make people think, but not too hard. You know what I mean?
Right. I've got a lot of the Alekhine's gun lyrics come from Buddhist meditation texts like Brahmanavartika and Amitabha Kosha and the Wheel of Knives. And it said, you know, when a teaching is correct, it hits the listener right in the heart. It strikes the enemy in the heart. It hits you in the heart because it's true. So a lot, because I think I take that as my base of what I'm writing from, and not just, you know, like, it has a meaning, it has a purpose to me. And because it comes from my heart, it hits your heart, I think. I hope.
Well, it definitely hits your heart, but like, you know, as an artist myself, like people have said your art touches my heart, and then I ask, in what way? Because maybe I was dealing with something when I was making this painting, and I'm not expecting people to feel the same exact way. Like, people say, oh, when you look at Edvard Munch's paintings, you'd be like, oh, you feel the anxiety and the pain he was going through. I'm like, his work is beautiful and it speaks to me.
I like the green.
Yeah, but like, I don't feel his anxiety. I don't feel his depression because I'm not him. And I wasn't growing up in the location during the time period he was in.
Exactly.
So I've always felt that maybe while a listener can relate to an artist, they're not going to be able to relate to them fully because you're not that individual.
To some degree.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Yeah. So maybe I'm sounding like an asshole when I say, oh, you relate to that person, and I'm kind of like, no, that's not true, because...
Well, what I think happens, especially in, I think, music and film, I don't know, not in all the arts, what you find is that it resonates. You don't necessarily connect with the artist. You connect with the experience of the artist through your own experience. So you're reliving your own experience through the words of someone else, or the eyes of someone else. There are certain albums that I just don't listen to, that I know exactly where they're gonna put me. And I hate to say it's like, I can't listen to that, puts me in the bad place.
Yeah.
Or this puts me in this kind of place, this puts me in that kind of place. Because it triggers for me memories of a certain time, place, person, thing.
Yeah. I've always heard that the best sense of memory is smell. And there are records that give me like a sense of smell sometimes. And I don't know if you agree or disagree, but like, they say smell is the greatest sense that triggers a memory. So maybe those albums kind of also do the same thing. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's like a synesthesia where you have your senses are crossed. So for me, certain albums are very red, and some are very blue, some are very green, and some are very orange. Or that's how we write songs sometimes. I'm like, you know, Jeff is the guitarist of Alec. He's like, Jeff, I need more red there. So blue. It's so blue. So blue. We need a little red. How about some orange there, then to red, and then gray, like black, like that. You know, so we write in colors.
Yeah, you see colors when you hear notes.
Absolutely. Or feel colors, feel the mood in a color.
Yeah, do you have like a specific example? Like, so I see red when I play an A on the piano, or I see greenish black when I play D.
Yeah, D's are blue for me.
Really?
Yeah, B's are black, G's are green. That's
G-
like, B is black. It's not that, it's really, actually B flat is more black. A is like an orange red.
Okay.
So we agree there.
Yep.
A is an orange red.
I'm more magenta red with that.
E's are yellow.
Okay.
A higher E is yellow than the lower E.
Really?
F is like brown.
Okay. F, I see. F, I don't know. Like with E's, I think of like a dark bluish color.
Okay.
Like I don't know. That we're gonna really nerd out on that one.
Well, that's not really nerding. It's just really like two dorks, I guess, at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's
Somebody forgot to take medication this morning. Red, red, red. No.
Ooh, that should be the lyrics coming up. Now, as you mentioned, I'm going back to what you said, coming from the hardcore scene. Did that at all because, you know, you play a role of a character in Orange is the New Black as somebody who is in jail. And so, and the hardcore scene is a very tough scene, and, you know, To an extent.
Depends where you live.
I call them rough, tough cream puffs.
Exactly. I think depends where you live.
They're like Eggo waffles, crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside.
Yeah, it's like some of the greatest people on earth, and some of them are legit coming from dire circumstances, and I always appreciated that kind of urban sensibility with a metal type music or hardcore music, something punk, something fast, something aggressive that was more aggressive than hip hop.
Yeah.
Was at that time, because when I was growing up, it was really just hip hop, and hip hop was the dominant music, I think, on the radio, kind of. But even hip hop then was much darker and bleaker.
Yeah.
But it wasn't this aggression thing was not there. This fast 1 2 3 4 loud distortion. And what else did you have at that? You had Slayer, you had Metallica, you had Maiden. It's like, okay, Swords and Icarus and all that. That's not really what I'm thinking when I'm on the train.
Yeah.
At 8 a.m. and I'm late, or you have to decide if you want lunch or if you want dinner because you only have like this much money left, or things like that. Just urban living in general, whether you were rich or poor or middle class, didn't matter. We all kind of suffered these same things in urban living.
And you think that hardcore really demonstrated that?
Absolutely. But then you have the suburban hardcore scene, which is something else, which I'm not quite sure what everyone is so angry about. But I guess it's like kind of being stuck in that, what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to grow up and get a job and do what your dad did, and you have kind of no sense of...
Well, I come from the suburbs of upstate New York, and I could tell you that...
it's tough over there, too, though.
Yeah, it's like, there is tons of, like, because... Here in New York City, like, there's always places to get your aggression out, whether there's a concert happening that night or, there's a bar nearby, whatever, like, but in the suburbs, when everything is like an hour and a half away from each other, you're stranded in your home in isolation, and everything builds up.
I've seen that.
Yeah, like.
Absolutely, up in Troy, and
Yeah, so I'm not that far upstate. Okay. I'm from Rockland County.
Okay.
So.
Oh, you're close. You're over here.
Yeah, yeah. But like in the suburbs, do you think that maybe because suburban hardcore and urban hardcore, like they have different backgrounds, that maybe that like they have a hard time relating to each other, or in the end because it's hardcore music?
I think because it's hardcore, everyone comes together, kind of thing. We also have these fantasies, walking down the street that you're a tough guy, kind of thing. I think a lot of us do, like, yeah, I'm so tough, or whatever. But there's no imminent danger happening. But and sometimes I find that when people are bored, they create drama. So a lot of that hardcore drama comes from sheer boredom, which is terrible. I think what we did lose is a lot of the politics of the original hardcore. We lost that kind of...
The integrity, maybe?
Integrity, great band. Not the integrity, no. We lost the political message, the F you to the man message, and it became much more about personal trauma, personal strife, and that, which is still great. Yeah,
I figure like in the end it is, because hardcore to me is just as much of a sound as it is a message.
Absolutely.
That, like,
absolutely.
I wouldn't call, Metallica hardcore.
Absolutely not.
but like a modern day, like Agnostic Front is hardcore.
Absolutely.
But then you have like a modern day hardcore band like Harm's Way that kind of has that sound to it. So.
You have that 1 2 3 4 of like that early thrash and the punk, and then you have a little bit of that hang back of that rock and hip hop influence on it. It's kind of like the best of everything put together. Mm-hmm. They have a band like H2O that has like all the swinginess, all the 1 2 3 4 pop, the happiness. There's just very few happy hardcore bands. All the happiness, all positive. A lot of positive messages, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of brotherhood, sisterhood, a lot of tolerance and equality in most of the messages, which I think is great in hardcore. We don't really have that in hip hop or dance music or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel like, and I'm not in the hip hop scene, so maybe I could just be talking out of my ass, but like it almost seems like from what I've witnessed at hip hop shows, it almost kind of seems like a one up over another in a way, or that seems to be the goal.
I find now we're going through this phase of just party and degeneration. It's like who's a bigger degenerate. They're not even rapping about their accomplishments anymore. It's really like rapping about like how badly they did. Like I did this much drugs today. I did
All the
this.
SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, it's fun as hell. It's one thing, but I'm older. I know who I am. I'm not influenced by this stuff. I can throw that on and enjoy it for the comics and the comedic value, or enjoy it for even as art, if that really was that guy's day, or just the funniness, the joy, the like the Cardi B situation of her coming from nothing and now she's at the top. That's huge, and just appreciate it for that you can do that in that scene. But I fear for the younger people that look up to people drinking codeine and cough medicine or what is it? Like, I forgot. Whatever it is, it's just I'm sure we all have bad things that we do that are way worse. But
yeah, but I'm definitely not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you saw us at the Dimebag show because we were on our way out the door. We weren't gonna play.
Really?
So when you saw, I didn't do like any makeup. I didn't get ready. I wasn't even ready. I was wearing a dress from something before, and I didn't even have time to change. We were on our way out. So the show was being cut short, and we thought we weren't going to be able to play, or because we were scheduled much later. And then we're like getting ready to leave, and they're like, "You're on now," and I'm like, "Now?" I just like walked in the door, so I didn't change. I didn't put makeup on. We didn't do our usual,
Well, that was I saw a once in a lifetime Alekhine's Gun
It
show.
was an Alekhine's Gun stripped.
But then I saw the real one at Cattle Decapitation Revocation.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah. Just is there anything else? Obviously, you said season 7.
Season 7 is in the works. 6 is out now. We have some of the Alekhine's Gun rooks are in the recording studio right now, laying down tracks for the new album. I'm so excited.
Hell yeah.
And what else? Might be some Brujeria shows popping up. I don't know when. I don't even know when they are, so I can't tell you. And just keep an eye out. I'm expanding into other realms of music as well. Last year I did something with an electro goth band,
Wow.
Goth House, playing violins with them. I'm doing something on the banjo, doing some. I can't say right now, but
So many things you can't talk about.
Things we can't talk about, but
Yeah.
definitely trying out new things and pushing that. How does one say? Going out of my comfort zone.
That's always good, and that's like
It is always. I have an accordion at my house.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
As long as if you're not like one of those accordion players I see on the subway. I mean,
I might be for a week or two.
I have nothing against accordion players, but when you're on the subway hungover, that's the last thing you.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it can be annoying.
I'm talking for personal.
I think the drummers, when you're hungover, is probably a little.
It was an accordion player and a bongo player.
Oh, that's
like,
rough.
Like
Sorry.
I heard, and the subway was already delayed, so I heard the thing go, and then you just hear, "We're gonna rock this house," and I'm just like, it was so bad that I almost got off before my stop.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
So you have to drink less.
Anyway, maybe we'll see.
Okay, maybe.
We've talked about going out of our comfort zone. So.
That's your comfort zone. There you go.
Yeah. But everybody, we are here with Jessica Pimentel of Alekhine's Gun and Orange is the New Black. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York, everybody.